We're going to talk about instructional sessions first, and the people who work with instructional sessions are the ones on the left, the Instruction and Engagement Library Liaisons. So Ken Frankel is the department head. I'm the instruction coordinator as of about 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, around the time of COVID. Um, Larry Mello is also brand new, working as the coordinator for the government documents. And Tom O'Brien also works with our Palm Beach State students. FAU acts as the main library for Palm Beach State students who are at that Boca campus on the north end of the FAU campus. So there are just four of us who really are doing the instruction. However, you oftentimes are also going to be in contact with our non-instructional library liaisons who play a very important part um, for you and your department. And Dawn is going to go over them more. From time to time, they may also pop in and do some instruction. Christy Padron had spoken with a faculty member recently. She is our scholarly communications librarian. And so they had talked about plagiarism, and Christy did the plagiarism um, presentation. So we do have some times when we will go outside the box. So basically, the Instruction Engagement Services librarians, we act as liaison librarians. We are also subject specialists in different areas. We are also your information literacy specialists, and information literacy often gets combined. And Judy and I did a presentation not too long ago here with the COSI professional development, but gets combined with digital literacy, media literacy, information literacy, and basically it's all looking at critical thinking. We're taking in so many different pieces of information, and we need to be critical thinkers, and we need to be able to engage with our students and help them become critical thinkers. And we have no idea when they step foot on the university if they've had any training whatsoever, if they've had anybody even talk with them about the concept of critical thinking. We're also, as instruction and engagement services librarians, very involved with your students. They come in the library, they swipe their card. First thing they see is the service desk. They don't know what to do, they walk to the service desk. Perfect, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. They may ask a question of somebody at the service desk and they may get the answer that they want, or they may have a more involved question, or they want to have some research help. We are there. We're actually on walkie-talkie. We were just talking before our session, the who used to use walkie-talkies and CBs and things like that. But we actually have a walkie-talkie, and we switch it around, whoever's on duty during a 2-hour shift during each part of the day. And we come out, meet with your students, and bring them into our office if that's what's needed, or work with them over at the service desk. Or if they happen to come in the office and just open our door for our suite and they say, can somebody help me? We're out there helping them. And so we do get very involved with your students. We also have some faculty who from time to time will say, hey, either meet with me as your faculty member or meet with a librarian and let me know that you've met with the librarian. I want to make sure that you're getting the help, and especially as freshmen, in doing the research that you're doing. So that's basically what we do, and pretty much the main focus of what we're all about in our department. So what do we offer? Research assistance, like I just mentioned, the instructional services, some teaching and learning resources that are online on our website. We have workshops and tours, video tutorials, research guides, and these are subject, course, and support guides. In the library itself, right near our office, we have computers, we have printing, which of course does cost, photocopying, and scanning is available for free. And a lot of people are not aware of that. We have some really nice scanners too. And of course, we have more things than that. So I'm going to try to go through these kind of quickly. So first question is, do we have a website? And yes, you will get a copy or a link to our slides. This is in Google slides, and this is going to take you directly to this page. We're going to go over these different topics, which I had just mentioned, but you can see we have a lot of different types of things that are available here. And Dawn is going to be talking with you about library liaisons, and there's also a place for you to go directly on the Instruction and Engagement Services Department page and be able to get to the library liaisons information. So for instructional services, we can come to your classroom. We can work with you virtually by Zoom or by WebEx, and either you can set it up or we can set it up. If you want, we can do the things in our instructional studio. This is LY 136. It's directly behind the service desk when you come in the library. And that's subject to availability because we do have various classes in there. And also, we sometimes can pre-record per your request, especially when we hit COVID time. We had people who had the same class that they were going to be teaching. And they said, you know what, I can go ahead and direct my students to this instead of taking the class time. And they use the pre-recorded session. So we can do a session that is a typical 50-minute session. We can do 30 minutes, or we could do it subject specific. And I'm going to give you some ideas as far as some resources that we already have that are recorded and available for you. And what are some of the options you have if you would like to have library instruction? This is actually a flyer that I've kind of picked apart in different pieces to be able to let you know. And this is something that I send whenever a new faculty member or faculty member first comes to us requesting instruction, just so you've got an idea what we can do. We can create a customized session for your class. So we want to be able to make sure that your class is getting what you want for them to learn. Typically, it's designed for a particular topic or assignment that you have. So what we can show in our searches that we do, our search strategies we do, we're actually able to go ahead and create something that's very specific to what they're going to be needing to learn or what they're going to need to be able to do. And we also give them an overview of the library homepage, not just here, you're at the library homepage, but where can you go for help? What are some of the different areas? So people have said, are there any more options? Well, in the Get to Know Your Library, there's also a tour of the library that they could do. And we have not started the live tours back yet, but I would anticipate that we are probably getting on the road towards that. Developing a search strategy is something that we pretty much do with every single class unless we've been asked not to. But that search strategy really helps the students understand how to take that question that they have for their assignment and translate it into something that they can put into a search box. And we also work with them on being able to figure out, where should I be searching? Should I be searching in a specific database? Where would I even find the databases that I would need for my topic? Or am I better off doing just a general search using our OneSearch tool? So we'll go ahead and be able to work with them and also work with you. And if we're developing a search strategy, we're also going to be able to show them how to use that search strategy once we've gone through the development portion. Also, finding a book. Most students do not know how to look for a book in the library catalog. They also then don't know how to find it when they're looking for it on the shelf. And so we like to take some of the mystery out of it. We have some popular topics like scholarly journals. So we can tell your students about peer-reviewed journals, why they were going to use them. If you've already gone through that, that's something we wouldn't need to do. But if you want for us to give them a little bit more of a idea about it, we can do that. Looking at citations, you have different citation requirements for each of your different subject areas, or if the student is undecided and they're just in a general class. And so we have resources that are available for those students that are beyond the very basics with citations. We also have citation tools or citation managers. And so we can go over that with them. In fact, we actually have a video about how to do that. And we've taught classes numerous times on citation managers generally what they are, and we'll use one as a demo and be able to show how you're going to be able to use this, organize things, share documents, share citations with others, etc. So this can be really great, especially for graduate classes, because they're gathering information oftentimes towards a thesis or dissertation. We'll do a demonstration of OneSearch. That's our tool that will search across most of our library databases, knowing that some databases are best searched within that particular database. That's just the way that we're made. We can also talk about different subjects, individual databases. For chemistry, I've shown SciFinder, which is a fun one. For art, I'll go through ArtStore. So we have different databases that maybe your students are going to be wanting to get really familiar with, and they may be very specialized. Even if you're not certain if we know much about them, we will get ourselves so that we know a lot about them before we present. Evaluating websites, this all goes back to the critical thinking. We have a research guide on this. We also have a lot of experience in working with students one-on-one as well as in class, and being able to understand what they're looking at when they're looking at a website, and understanding also the connection between those scholarly journals and the website evaluation. Scholarly journals having already been vetted for them versus those websites that they don't know anything about necessarily. Some other topics would be cited reference searching. So they have citations, they need to find the articles. Plagiarism basics, we will do that as an entire class or a mini class. We also have that available as a recorded session, talking about open access, Google Scholar. We know that some people will use Google Scholar. You can actually attach the name of FAU Libraries to Google Scholar, and whether it's you who log in or your students, it will then show the links to the materials that FAU Library has. You can do that for up to 5 different libraries, so that's kind of nice. And then what other topics you have. How are you going to be able to request a session? Well, you can go ahead and you can contact us here, this email. This phone number goes directly to my phone. The next slide, I have a URL. And if you want, you can do a pre-session meeting live or phone, or by virtual meeting. If you want for us to stop by your class and just do a brief 10 or 15-minute pre-session class, get them warmed up, or we can go ahead and we could do a flip the classroom type of thing also. So we're open to being innovative and working with what would work best for you and your students. So here's our form, and you can also request a particular librarian. Our other instruction services include matching the instruction to your assignment, as I mentioned, the online tutorials and workshops. Some of them have quizzes and certificates, and we set the certificate level only can be generated if they pass 80% or more. Typically, it's either 5 or 10 questions we give. So things like plagiarism, APA, several others have the quizzes and the certificates. The certificates are emailed to them, and it does show the percentage that they got correct, 80%, 100%, whatever. A lot of times faculty are really not aware of all of the things that we have available. And if you just want to get with your liaison librarian or with the Instruction and Engagement Services Department, we can go ahead, sit down with you, and introduce you to those things that might be of use to you, things that maybe you didn't even know about. This could be especially great, and you might want to pass the information along if you have new faculty coming on board. Every library is going to be a little bit different. We also do the research consultations for students. So as well as walking in, they can go ahead and there's a form that can be filled out. We also have the Ask a Librarian service. That's available for anybody in the state of Florida. It's free. We man it from FAU Libraries Monday through Friday from 9 until 5. And it's open additional hours 5 nights out of the week till midnight, Fridays and Saturdays till 5. And other people in the state man it when we are not personally taking care of it. So that makes it really great. Credo, I don't know how if any of you are aware, we've had something called Credo Instruct, and I would love to see you use it. It is multi-modules. It's over 60 modules. It has videos, tutorials, interactivity. Students will go from slide to slide. It will ask them questions. There are many that have quizzes. Those quizzes can go directly into your grade book. And that's something that is one of my areas of expertise, working with that. Tom O'Brien also works a lot with Credo Instruct. And I invite you to go ahead, and it introduces, you've got modules with pre-test or post-test, overall uh, information literacy, talking about references and citations, talking about any number of things having to do with information literacy itself, and just generally being able to navigate research. So please take advantage of that. That is something that we own as a library. We also have teaching resources for faculty. So you're going to see a list of different items here, and also a list of learning resources, both for faculty and students, that you might enjoy. And we know FAU has lots of learning resources, including our friends at COSI. So you'll see them listed here also. Yes, we have more resources. We have online research guides, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. In fact, Dawn's the one who knows much more about it than I do because she was involved in the planning, but we're changing the look of our research guides in the not too distant future, and you're going to start seeing some differences in them. But we will continue to have course specific, subject, and general or support guides. What's really nice too is we recently had somebody write to us and say, hey, you did a course guide for so-and-so's class. Could you make this guide for me? Now they can ask, can you add something else? Could you take something away? Or could you just make a new guide for me? I don't need the class right now, but I'd love to have a guide to refer my students to that's specific for me. And we're happy to do that. And yes, there is a form for that also. We also have a library services directory. This is right on the library's homepage. This will direct you to a lot of the things, not just within our department, but throughout the library. There's a research assistance menu. You can copy and put that in your Canvas class. That's going to tell your students about getting in touch with us by ask a librarian, by phone, by chat, by the video resources that we have, and a host of other ways that they can get help. I don't know how many of you are familiar with our textbook reserves. Again, that's more of Dawn's area than mine, but it's well worth telling you that we do have textbook reserves. Some are physical and some are also ebooks, so they make it very convenient for your students to be able to save money. And Scholarly Communication Services. Christy Padrone was previously the instruction coordinator, and she moved on to become our Scholarly Communication Services librarian. She does an excellent job. She's been putting together all kinds of resources, especially things that deal with copyright and how you as faculty can or cannot or should not um, or may not be able to use different things in different ways. And she's just a great resource, and she's got some amazing guides for us also. She will also be another speaker during the month of April.
So what I'm going to cover are some of the other library services that are not instructional provided by the library. And for today, what we're going to be looking at is from a liaison coordinator perspective, although I also do collection development. And so back to the original list that we started off with, um, uh, this column, these are the librarians that do the instruction, but all of the librarians listed here are library liaisons. So you could deal with any of us in your travels with the library. So just to be aware that there is a little bit of a separation though with that. So the library liaisons, who are we and what can we do for you? So today's this part of the session is going to look at two of the things that library liaisons help with, and that's textbook affordability. That includes OER, open educational resources, and library licensed resources. And we're going to look at how the library can help you accomplish some affordability for your students. So, if you don't know who your library liaison is, we do have a place on the library's website where you can look to see who the person is. And we should be the first point of contact that you have with the library. So instead of going to the Ask a Librarian to ask a question, it's a good idea to get to know who your liaison is, because we could form a relationship with you and anticipate your needs. And when you're reaching out, we can help you. So to locate your liaison, you go to the library's homepage under Research, and there's a pull down menu specifically for the library liaisons. And when you get to that section, you'll filter by department, and you can pull down. I happen to be the liaison for women, gender, and sexuality studies. And so all of my contact information is here. And I have other areas as well, but so if you know your liaison by name, you could put their name. You could go on either side of this form to fill it out to get the information. Once you identify who your liaison is, just know that they can meet with you. They want to meet with you, either individually or in a group. They can work with you and go to faculty department meetings. If you have different events where you're maybe celebrating students, or if you need somebody to be a part of a advisory board, you might want to look to the liaisons. It's another way for us to get involved, know a little bit more about what you're doing in your departments, and better meet your needs. Uh, Today, we're going to look at how to identify low cost materials and resources, low cost or no cost, actually, resources to help your students with textbook alternatives. So, library licensed resources are items that we can purchase that we actually own in the library that can be used over and over and again in courses. So sometimes people get a little bit confused and think that when we get an ebook that it expires at some point. But I just want to let you know, as before we even go into this, that once we purchase an ebook, it doesn't expire. We always have it. It's always there. Sometimes we might only be able to get one user at a time or three users at a time, and oftentimes, if we know it's being used as a textbook, we can up our availability of that title, and we can make it unlimited user. We go back to the publisher, pay them a little bit more money, and get unlimited access. So if you know you're planning to use an ebook from our library's collection in a class, it's a good idea to reach out to the library and let us know, so we can make sure that you have the the permissions available for all of your students to view if they're if we're able to get them for you. So as you're choosing your textbooks each semester, uh, I want to warn you that if you're using a Pearson title or McGraw-Hill or Cengage or some of the other traditional textbook titles, most of the times we are unable to get them licensed for institutional use, and that institutional as in library use, because they design their ebooks for individual purchase only. And a key, like, a lot of times you'll know when you've come across a title like that if it's only available in Vital Source or MindTap or Brightwave. So if you have titles like that, there's not a lot we can do to help you in the library unless you're willing to explore open educational resources or library license resources that are not the exact title but have the same, maybe same sort of coverage, where if you maybe share the table of contents from the textbook and let us know the sections you want to cover, we can find other books that I can get unlimited access for, and you could have the students like link to these books instead. So it takes a little bit of work on the front end, but it could save your students a lot of money in the end. So so just be aware that sometimes there's just nothing we can do to help it for certain publishers. So sometimes the liaisons will preemptively reach out to you if we come across some open educational resources that are exceptional, that we want to make sure you're aware of. Maybe you're not necessarily using these resources yet. You might get emails where we kind of like poke a little bit and share some information. And here's an example of I'm also a liaison to the physics department, and I came across an OER book for their college physics course that included Canvas course cartridges and PowerPoints and solution manuals, and like this was the gold standard and what you would want to have in a really good OER. And so sometimes your liaisons might reach out to you out of the blue, and you're like, "Who is this? And why are they reaching out to me? And why are they telling me what to use in my class?" So this might be why that they know they're your liaison. They come across something really interesting. They think you might be, you might want to know about, and they might reach out to you. So just be aware that sometimes we do that. So here's an example of it where a faculty reached out to me and was asking if I could get this book for the course. It's Microeconomics Private and Public Choice. And so the faculty shared the publication information, and I realized right out the gate this was a send gauge. So there was probably a good chance that I wasn't going to be able to get the exact book. And I checked, and it wasn't available in this country. Sometimes they're available in other countries, but I couldn't get it as an ebook here. So what I did was I went online to some of the tools that we have and looked for OER materials that paired up with this book. And I went online to see the table of contents just so I knew that I was giving them something that was, that compared directly to what they were teaching. And sometimes they're interested in looking at the OER materials, and sometimes it doesn't work in that moment, but they might want to revisit it later, maybe as they're building their coursework for, next semesters. But it's something that we do try to do is offer the alternatives. So here's another example. One of the faculty reached out to me from Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies with all of the courses that they're using in the class. And I'm highlighted where who the publishers were just to get an idea that I can see right out the gate that these are not from the typical Pearson McGraw-Hill publishers. So I was a little optimistic when I got this list. So I want to show you the outcome. So I was able to check with my vendors. We have a few that we work with, and for the purpose of textbooks, we were, I'm going to kind of back it up a little bit. We got some grant funding to purchase ebooks when we can to use for textbooks. This was through Tech Fee Grant. So the students funded this and said this was something that they wanted us to spend our money on, their money on, and we were going to spend it for them. And so knowing that I can only purchase ebooks and not print books, so we're not able to go out and buy textbooks and create a collection of these books with the library's money because that's not where the money, we don't have the money that way. So that if you wonder why I keep mentioning ebooks, that's what that's about. So this is the original list, and I was able to acquire unlimited access to this title, this first one, and this is the link in the library's catalog. Some titles, the vendor would only allow us one user at a time, so I was able to purchase one user at a time. If a lot of people go in at once and try to access this, I'll be notified, and sometimes I can up and buy extra copies of it, but I would have to pay for each copy, usually about $80 a pop at a time, where the unlimited access, maybe that it might have been $150 for everybody to use it until, the end of time. So the best bet would be is if I could get them unlimited access. So in some cases, I was able to do that. For this title, they were only allowing the publisher only allows this in print. So we just happened to have it in the collection. It's a popular book. In our diversity bureau, and here's the call number for it. If the faculty decides that they're using this book and they want to promote it, but the library has it, we recommend at this point having the instructor put this book in reserves so one person doesn't check it out and nobody else has access to it. And so if you find yourself in this situation, there is a form that you can fill out as a faculty to get this book put on reserves, and you can decide how like does a student get it for an hour or 2 hours, or you get to choose how you want them to use this. And then down the list, you can see that there were different ways we were able to get these books for this faculty, and they were really happy to have this for the students because they really and truly the students would have to purchase maybe one book, and this is something that was on like the New York Times bestsellers list, so it's not even really an expensive book. So if you want to just see if the library has some of the books you're already using in your class, you can go to the library's homepage, put the title in. I just happened to get this title from that last list that we were looking at on gender violence. And when you search, if it's available, you'll see it, and you'll see if it's an ebook. And this is where you'll want to grab the permalink for your course to add to Canvas. Is this one right here? And this also, if I'm going to go back for a moment, happens to be the format that these links are in as well. This is the preferred format. If you link them directly to inside the database to the ebook, sometimes depending upon how they've logged in on their own personal computer, they may not have been prompted to log in and use their credentials, and they might not actually get to they see the book or they encounter issues. So that's why you would want to use this permalink here. So, if you're able to use some of the library's licensed ebooks, you could expect that they would look very similar to the e-textbooks that you're already asking your students to have. Some of the features they have are being able to search within the book, like you kind of like a Google search within the book, and and get them to the sections where the topic is being discussed. You can see when if an item can be downloaded in full or by chapters, or it what the permissions are as far as how many pages can be downloaded at a time or printed at a time. This book happens to have no restrictions whatsoever. So if you were able to get a book like this for your class, from the day one coming in, everybody has access to the book. Nobody can say they didn't get it yet. They're ready to go. They're ready to study and get things rolling. And they can highlight within the books. They get their citations generated for them. They can bookmark sections. So it's really just a nice way to go about this is if they're using, the ebooks. So the library liaisons do not only work with you in getting affordable resources for your students, but we also will help you you get items that you want added to the library. So let's say you're doing some research on a certain topic. If you reach out to your liaison that you're looking for certain books and you notice the library doesn't have them, that liaison can be responsible. They have a certain budget for purchasing materials and they can use that money to get the items that you need. So, and that budget is separate from the the textbook material money that we have that we got from the grant. So we just know that they do have some money available, and it's good to know who your liaison is because you get the resources you need, whether it's for research or if you're using it in the classroom for textbooks. If you are needing copyright assistance. Let's say you're working with COSI and you're doing online shells, you're doing Canvas shells, and you're not sure if you can actually use something that you found on the internet. The library can help you determine that. And we can help you with the permissions. And we don't necessarily reach out on your behalf to creators of content, but we can help you determine when you need to reach out, and or if you don't have to, and how you would do the citing of that material and give credit where it needs to be. But we really, as liaisons, want you to know that the library has so many services, as you saw from Lauri's part of the presentation, and this little bit here, this little taste that you got from what my part of the presentation is. Um, if you know the right people to ask, and we can help leverage your experience and make sure you're getting what you need from us. And we really like it if you can reach out to us and let us help you.
We truly appreciate your time as well as those who joined us today. So thank you so much.